Hey everyone, we are live. Aaron Powell, how's it going, buddy? Just gonna get my device set up here and we'll go live. I actually got prepared this time. I made a tea for the event. Okay, let's fire this unit up. Turn my sound down. I'm getting better at this. YouTube. Here we go. This tablet I bought is not the fastest. It's got it works, but it's kind of slow. Okay. There we go. There I am. Oh, I did it without too many problems. There we go. I'm getting this. I'm getting the hang of this computer stuff. There we go. I did it. How you guys doing? Look at all these cords hanging down here. Yeah, well, it is what it is. My shop is my shop. Aaron Powell, Stevie Thoreau, you guys are always here. Bit0285, how's it going? There's a new name I don't think I've ever seen here before. Kenneth Dan Lynch, how you doing? I think that's a new name too. Pacific Northwest Saw Junkie, love your videos. You are great at what you do. Thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I'm always learning and growing. I made a tea for today. Oh, she's hot. I didn't put anything in it, just straight up tea. Hi, Tin Man. How you doing? Nick Irwill. Big C, respect to you for not knowing technology. And you know, it's funny. I sit in front of a computer all day now, and I'm still that feller. My day is now complete. Scott Lother. That's awesome. Demetrius F. Hi, Tin Man from Greece. A lot of Greek people where I live. Most of the best restaurants here are owned and operated by Greek folks. I love the Greek people. Make a heck of a hamburger, let me tell you. What have you guys been up to today? I did some saw work, ran a saw that you guys haven't seen on this channel. Stay tuned. There'll be some 572 content this week. And actually did another cutaway video today. I got a question from a fella, and he drew a diagram, and he was really interested in my take on his thoughts on something I do, and I did a whole cutaway video on it, and it was interesting, very interesting, to do with single rings and something that might be going on with a single ring piston, or a single ring on a dual ring piston. And I did a cutaway on it. Super, super interesting. He got my brain going. Tin Man, how do you tell if you have crank stretch? Well, if you do, usually you're topping pistons. What seems to be the problem there? That's from Doug Granger. I've never had crank stretch on a saw yet. Well, knock on tin. Coolest guy on the planet. Hey guys, comment from me today. He always comments. Comment from me today. It's pretty funny. Kids Family Innovations. Hello, Tin Man. Glad to be joining you. Hey, glad to have you here. It's always neat when you turn the camera on and go live and people actually show up. You wouldn't want people to not show up. So that'd be kind of awkward. Although I'm sitting here in my shop most of the time talking to a camera without you guys here. So hope it's Yorkshire tea. It is actually caffeine tea, orange pico. I don't do a lot of caffeine anymore as I get older. Got to keep the old blood pressure intact. Thought it looked a little weak for coffee. No, just a tea bag and some boiled water. That is, my wife only drinks tea pretty much, so caffeine-free tea. So I grab one once in a while. I'm like, I kind of like this. Coffee break for me too. It's a cold day in Maryland today. Darren Widger with a $5 super chat. Some coffee money, bro. Love the videos. Hey, thank you for that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys are 100% what keeps this channel going. You folks out there. I've mentioned it on a couple of videos lately. There are no sponsored videos on this channel. I could, but I'm just not. I don't know, friends. If people are paying me to say things, something wrong with that, in my opinion. I don't know. I have a hard time with that because if somebody can pay me to say something, I think I've lost all credibility there. Again, old school, not good with a computer, that kind of feller. But yeah, the products I show on this channel are just something I find interesting. And again, you guys 100% are the driving force behind this channel. Without you guys, there is no me. So again, thank you, Darren. Luke Abel, hey from New Zealand. Hey, buddy. One day, I would love to take that 18-hour plane ride or whatever it is and get over there. New Zealand and Australia really, really interest me for many reasons. That hardwood over there, you guys are very Canadian in your mentality and lifestyle, and there's good folks over there. I love the Australians and the New Zealanders. And also, you guys have more venomous creatures there than I think anywhere in the world, and it's weird. There's nothing venomous here, period. We have black widow spiders, apparently. I've never seen one, but other than that, like anything that you touch here or step on ain't gonna drop you. So you guys are serious over that way. Adam Williamson, hey, Tin Man from Southern Illinois. Hope you are doing warm and well. Yeah, it's warmer out today. We had a crazy south wind blowing last night. Saturdays, I've been going out. We've been doing family days, so we'll head to the city or wherever, and we'll go to a museum or a play center for children. There's this big mega play area in this building not far from here in Winnipeg. So my wife and I, we went for lunch with my folks. My folks are going away for a bit, so we had lunch with the folks, and then we went to this play center. And wow, there must have been like 300 kids in there running around, and we let Charlie go, and she ran around and climbed and played with the slide, and I don't know. I never appreciated children until I had one, and now I'm like, I get it. I'm watching my daughter see life for the first time, and it makes me appreciate life a little bit more. So did that yesterday, and then we went out for dinner. Well, next thing I knew, it was dark. The wind was 70 to 80 kilometers an hour, so like 45-mile-an-hour wind, steady out of the south. So we drove home. I shot a little video. I'll put an excerpt of it in one of the videos this week, but we couldn't see. I had to stop a couple times. We got home, but yeah, it was pretty crazy. But now today with the south wind usually comes heat, and it's warmed up quite a bit. Levi Collins, how's it going, buddy? I think Levi was here on the last live chat. Hello, Mr. Tin Man. This is from Brad Sherman. Great to see you. It was 4 degrees Fahrenheit here this morning in the North Georgia mountains, burning the stove full blast. That's cold for you guys, I think. It's different for us here. Our houses are super well insulated. We have forced air heating and, central air conditioning for the hot in the summer. We got wood stoves. We have winter clothing. We're very well equipped for it here. Anyways, waiting on my Duke's crank kit, and I'll be starting my Husky 350, 346 build. Interesting. I don't think I've ever used anything from Duke's. Maybe I'll have to order some stuff one day. See what's going on with that. I've used most Not all, but I've used a lot of the common stuff around. I like my Meteor and my Highway. Um, Actually, it was interesting. I got an email from one of you folks out there. He ordered a Meteor cylinder and he ported it and it failed. And he sounded less than happy, and I totally agree with that. But I will say, once in a while, you're gonna get a bad cylinder. I've I've had bad OEM cylinders. I've had bad, aftermarket cylinders. And I know it's hard if you only do a cylinder or two a year. It's probably hard to swallow that if you get one that's bad, and I don't blame you. Once in a while, you get a bad cylinder. I've had bad cylinders, but for the most part, Meteor, Highway, they've been good. Like, but once in a while, you will get a bad one. I just thought I'd mention that. Sawyer's, what's up, Sawyer's Anonymous? That's funny. Darren Widger, hello from Missouri. Missouri. We had a fella, Dan from Missouri, came to Ohio there. It's funny, I don't know where Missouri is on the map. Is that in the center of the United States? I'm pretty good with North America as a whole, but I don't know where Missouri is. I don't. I'm mad enough to say it. Oh, do you recall what video you talked about quenching the pistons? I've looked for quite a few and no luck. Oh, I'll have to look. It's one of my 272, 266 builds for sure. I've definitely done it. Levi sent an email, I believe, about piston quenching. Basically, the idea is, and it's another subject of conjecture, and it seems to be a lot of the things I do are like that. I'm just interested. You take a piston, you put it in an oven at like 400 Fahrenheit for 4 to 6 hours, and then you take it out and you dump it in room temperature water. And what that does is it basically anneals the piston and realigns it, and then the quench solidifies that. And I've done it, and I've seen no detriments. Interesting though, old school hot rod stuff. A lot of this stuff I do is old school stuff. I was taught by old timers, and a lot of it's being lost. But what else do we got here? I'll see if I can find that video, Levi. If I do, I'll mention it on upcoming video. Doug Granger, do highway cylinders chip when porting? Sometimes. Honestly, I read this on the internet a lot. I mean, guys, I've been porting highway cylinders on video for like 5 years. I have chipped a few, but no, I mean, I've chipped many. I think it's honestly when you chip plating, a lot of times I think it's a technique or what kind of cutter you're using more than some plating is very hard though. That Highway Titan nickel is very, very hard. I've ported those too on the channel. I don't really port those anymore because I find they're very hard to port. I have done it, but sometimes you chip plating. It's definitely a thing. Brad H74 Tin Man, you must be warming up if you're in the shop or you got the stove going. Oh, I lit a fire in here at 6 a.m. this morning, like red hot, filled that firebox to the roof, cranked her wide open, turned the fan on. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. Okay, what else we got here? Anybody got any questions? Anything you're working on? What are you guys working on? How many people we got here? Looks like we got quite a few. Okay. Al Dretsky, Logger Al. I like that guy. Logger Al's been here. You remember your first 50, 100 subscribers. I do. Logger Al has been here since day one. Always appreciate you showing up here. Hi, Tin Man. One day of cold weather and then back into the 30s. See, this winter's been warm. Like for us, it's been above zero, which zero is freezing in Celsius. it's been warm here right up to Christmas, and then we got absolutely shellacked by cold, and now it's like it's warming up again. But I could handle that if it got really cold for a week or two and then got warm again. But normally here it gets cold in December, and then it's December, January, February, March, where it's minus 30 Celsius or minus 40, and then it warms up. 4 months of that's pretty. It's pretty hard on equipment and bodies, especially if you work outside. Aaron Powell, black widows, scorpions, and rattlesnakes are what you got to look out for here. Southeast New Mexico, West Texas. Yeah, we don't got none of that stuff. Cold weather keeps venomous things away, it seems. We do have garter snakes here. If you've ever watched like a documentary, if you're a nerd like me, on like reptiles, and they show like this pit full of garter snakes, that is about an hour north of where I live. It's called the Narcisse Snake Dens. And there's tens and 20, 50,000 snakes come out of this hole in the ground. The general consensus is in fall, they take a big breath of air and they go to the bottom of this cavern that's in the ground. It's like an underground lake where it doesn't freeze. And they sleep there all winter. And then in spring, they swim to the top and come out. I know, nerdy stuff. True story, though. Stoic the Vast wants to know, transfers are discolored. Is that bad? So, another topic of debate amongst builders, if you have soot in your transfers, that means usually one thing, or two things, really. Number one, your rings are worn out. You got blow by, and as the piston's going up and compressing some of that fuel, air, and oil, it's leaking past into the transfer. Number two, as it goes bang and comes down, the exhaust is bleeding past into the transfers. But the number one reason why you got dirty transfers is your blowdown is too short, meaning your transfers open too soon after the exhaust opens. And what happens is your exhaust pressure needs to bleed down lower than the incoming intake charge pressure out of the bottom end. So you got 7, 10, 12 PSI coming out of the bottom end out of the transfers. And if you have 100 PSI still in your combustion chamber because your exhaust hasn't been open long enough, where does some of that exhaust go? Down into your transfers. Not usually the best thing for performance. But yeah, if your transfers are black, you either got weak rings that are leaking back, or your blowdown is too short. Usually it's short blowdown that causes that. Michael McTavish, hey buddy, how's it going? Pacific Northwest Junkie, 52 here in Oregon Coast. See, I could live with that. Like, I'd be wearing shorts still. Darren Widger, sometimes great information is priceless and it's not free. Kind of like going to college, it's not free. A lot of bad information on other YouTubers. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch a ton of YouTube anymore. But I don't know. I have respect and appreciate anybody that takes the time to make content, because filming your life takes time, right? And after a while, you get used to it. I'm always dragging around a tripod and a camera, but I mean, I have respect for anybody that makes content, right, wrong, or indifferent. Kids Family Innovation, still saving up parts to be in a 288 build. Those saws move you up to the big league budget class. Yeah, 288s are good. They're a good saw. I like them. I'm more of a 394 guy, though. I'm not gonna lie. That little bit of extra weight, the power difference, but that 288 I built this summer, it went good. Even with all of its faults, that thing had a lot of issues. But she pulled the 32 real nice. She did. Ivan Ported, hey Tin Man, how's it going, buddy? Hey Tin Man, working on an 056 Husky 281, Husky 61, amongst a dozen others. Your videos sure help. I just got above freezing here, but down to 0 for a couple weeks. I heat with wood. Yeah, buddy, me too. That's awesome. I'd like to put that 56 Magnum I got from a subscriber in the wood, but he warned me that he's pretty sure it needs bearings, so I've been hesitant to run that. It seems to run okay, but I know the Iron Horse found a bearing. It's not an exact fit width-wise, but up and down it is. I got to hit Harvey up again and get him to let me know what that bearing is, so that I'd like to rebuild that saw. Those things are nuts. I'd also like to port it. Cold here in South Georgia. I remember driving through Georgia going to Daytona Bike Week in like 2002, and it was snowing, and I was like, when do we get to the warm part? My buddy was like, it should be warm. And then we got to Florida and it rained for like 5 days straight. Still had fun, but oh, weird. Got a message. Another Missourian here. Still Canada can get you parts. Yeah, those 56 Magnum, the 56 Magnum bearings, apparently, maybe I'll have to ask, those bearings have been no longer available for like 10 years, is what I'm told. Smack dab in the middle. So yeah, that's where I figured it was. I've only been on the east side of the, if you draw a line from like Minnesota straight down, I've kind of always been on that side of the country. I've never been on the west coast or in the center. One of these days. Husqvarna 141, ever port one? No, but you know what? I was looking at that. I got that 242 XPG. Maybe we should grind on that and just see what it can do. What else we got here? Sorry, I'm getting caught up. Tin Man Saws, did you see my video on the MS200 builds? No, sorry, buddy, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't watch a ton of YouTube anymore. Not because I don't enjoy it, just having a toddler and, a career and this, I'm not a guy that has a ton of time to, to sit down and watch TV anymore. Maybe someday I'll get there, but I'd rather hang out with my daughter. But yeah, I totally didn't watch that. Hi from Midlands, UK. Carl Ainsworth. How's it going, Carl? Thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure what time it is there. It's probably late. Might be early in the morning, though. I'm not sure. Luke Abel, have a great day, mate. I'm going to sign off back after work. Just going to the bush now to prune some radiatia pine. God bless and beloved. Thanks for stopping by, Luke. Appreciate you, buddy. What do we got here? I've imported. I am your Hungarian follower. I really like your work. I watch a lot of your videos. Right on, buddy. Thank you. It's incredible how big this world is. This YouTube thing just took me, small town country boy, and just opened the world for me. And it's absolutely incredible, the people that come here from all over the place. It's pretty neat. I went to school with a Hungarian guy. I remember that. He was a big fella. But yeah, his dad drove it was like a 66 Chrysler Imperial, and I remember ripping around in that thing when my buddy got his driver's license. Just a big boat, big old vessel. Remember that, getting your driver's license, how free you felt? It's awesome. That tea is good stuff. James wants to know, is the 044 the same as the MS440? You know what? I'm not a Stihl guru. I've had both saws. I think the 044 runs better than the 440. Stock for stock. Ported, I can't really tell. And the reason why, I think, is the 440 I had a really choked up muffler, where this 044 It's completely stock. This thing's a runner. I've had a lot of issues with this saw over the last year, and I've been slowly puttering with it. It's still, I'll do a video on that, I think, this week. It doesn't, it's got a miss in it, and I got all the parts now. I'm just going to run through it and replace all the consumables. I built this saw, I don't even think I had a channel. I built this saw 6-8 years ago. This was my weapon of war for firewooding. It's an 044 Arctic. Still one of my favorite saws. It's sad I haven't run it in a while, but it's time. I gotta get this thing running again. It's original stock 044, and it is with a 25-inch Stihl bar. It is an absolute runner. One of the best ever. Carl Ainsworth, stiff trigger after doing mounts on my 266. What do you think? Carl, look at your linkage. So sometimes what happens with 266 is they get run for so long with worn mounts that it actually wears the lever. Where's one that I can access quickly? Where's my 266, folks? I don't know, it's here somewhere. Hope it didn't run away. Anyways, what happens is the mounts, because they're worn and guys use them, sometimes the plastic can get worn, and then when you put new mounts in, it changes where that little metal linkage sits, and they get stiff. So check that out. Make sure your linkage isn't bent also. I've also had 266s that I should have turned off all my notifications. I'll do that next time. But sometimes 266 linkages are also worn. Sometimes where it clips into the carburetor, that hole can get wallowed out. And then when you change, where the plastic lever, how it pushes on it, just have a look at it. Check for burrs. Make sure the trigger isn't stiff without the linkage on. But I've had that happen where they feel like they feel gritty and off once you change the mounts. Just make sure that everything lines up and that your linkage isn't bent, that the plastic isn't worn. I'm sure you'll find it. Tin Man, have you ever ported a Husky 44? Nope, but I own one and I love it. That's a great, great saw. Carl Ainsworth, it's bedtime for the toddler. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. I know all about that. Bedtime's a fun time. They don't want to go to bed, but, it's nice to be able to read them a story, and I don't know. I love being a dad. It's the greatest thing ever. Absolutely greatest thing ever. Christian Polzevek. Hello from Slovenia. Can you do a video on porting an MS881? I have 154 degrees on the intake, 162 degrees on the exhaust. Should I change any of the numbers? Honestly, I will probably never get an 881 here. There's not a lot of big wood where I live. And honestly, most guys here mill with 395s. I've never even had an 880 in the shop. Not on the channel. I have had one here, but yeah, I probably won't do that. So you got to ask yourself, Christian, what do you want the saw to do? If it's rev limited, you got to know where it's cutting. So the first thing with the new saw is check it with a tack. Make sure you know the RPM it's cutting at and the RPM your rev limiter kicks in. I've seen far too many guys raise exhaust roofs on their ported newer saws, and they bounce off the rev limiter in the cut because your rev limiter's here, stock you cut here, but when you move it here, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, remember, big saws generally don't like a lot of RPM. So if you do raise the exhaust roof or give the exhaust more duration, you could be looking for trouble. You could widen the exhaust a bit. Again, as long as your piston is supported. Nothing wrong with giving a big saw more fuel. 154, you could try, add 2 to 4 degrees. You could be around 156, 158. Make those transfers flow and go from there. The thing is, you have to decide what you're doing with the saw. You know, are you wanting it to be faster? Are you wanting to give it more grunt? Maybe you want to do machine work to it and jack up the compression. It's completely subjective to what you want the saw to run. I hope that helps. Happy Sunday from an also chilly Minnesota. I have a buddy I talk with on WhatsApp. He's actually the guy, if you guys remember, I did that 268 XP. He donated it to the channel and I sent it back to him as a gift, which he didn't like, but it was like, hey man, come on. And he lives in a farmyard just like this in Minnesota, and it's funny, we compare notes. We're often very close on temperature. Can you show me your 288 machine? Which one? I have several. Where is the piped one? Sure, we'll pull it out. Which one is it? Oh, it's this one right here. Here. This one? This one that the recoil is like completely busted on this thing. I can't remember what happened. I totally 100% lost my interest in this saw. I don't know. Life is too busy and I have too many reel saws. And I'm sorry for calling this not a reel saw if you have one, but these aftermarket saws are just not. Now I'm pulling the recoil off because I want to see. These aftermarket saws for me are just not something I'm probably really ever going to do again. They're just hard to keep running, and you throw parts at them, and they're just. I want to see what's going on with this recoil. I've broken both my 288 clone saws. The stock first one I bought, the one that I assembled, ran. Man, what's going on with this recoil? Look. What's going on here? Interesting. I don't know if you can still see that. This recoil's like stuck. I don't know what happened. It's like the rope got misaligned and it went back together wrong. Interesting. And this has OEM guts in it. Wow. Yeah. It's just completely locked up. And again, this is the second recoil out on this saw because the one that came in the Farmer Tech kit exploded one day. And then I put OEM guts in this. I can't get this thing apart. This thing's completely, I don't know, completely locked up. I hope when I say I don't like these kit saws. I like a 288. I think what I'm going to do is just buy an OEM 288 and just put those components in that saw, because that cylinder I built for that saw with that lightweight piston and the ring, and like that thing was nasty, way nuts compared to a 288 stock. Like a stock 288, they're tractors that don't like to rev. They feel like they're gasping for air to me at high RPM. They're good saws, but I don't know, they just lack something for me. And then when I ported this one, it was like, wow. Completely changed the running characteristics of the machine. Okay, sorry, I'm flapping again. You guys know the deal. But hey, to each their own. Everybody, I understand if you live in an area and there's not a lot of pro saws, or you're on a really limited budget, I understand the clone saw thing. My problem is they used to be like you could buy a kit for $150 Canadian shipped like 5, 6, 8 years ago. And they were so cheap, it was like, well, this will just be fun. But now, you know, a lot of these kit saws are $500, $600 here. And it's like I could buy a blown up 288 for, you know, $200 and buy a cylinder, piston, bearings, seals, gaskets for whatever, every part I need for the saw for say another 250, 300 bucks. So for 500 bucks, I could have an OEM saw that, you know, will probably run good. So Bruce's shop, I have a full life. Me, my wife, and my YouTube channel. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. There's so many facets to life that, you know, the other stuff when you're not on YouTube, it's I try to include more of that stuff. Levi Collins, Newberg, Oregon. I'm going to look that up when we're done here. David Arnett, thanks for your channel and sharing your knowledge. I've now ported a few Dolmars, 111i, 115, 116. I got one of those, I think it's like a 5400i hanging up in the back. I should play with that. And some Stihl 034s. Next on the bench will be a 120 SI Dolmar and a Wild Thing. I got one of those. You know, it's really funny. This saw, let's see something here. This saw here, this saw was basically new when I got it. There used to be a local guy here. I'm just going to fuel this thing up because I'm in the mood. There used to be a local guy here that he built a log cabin back in the day, like in the 90s, he said, like 91, 92. And he got really into chainsaws. And so he started posting ads. Where's my hearing protection? I can't run saws without earmuffs on anymore. I just can't do it. So let me grab my hearing protection. I'm over here in the corner. Yeah, there was a fella here that he was building a log home in the 90s, and he bought a whole bunch of saws. And I started seeing, you know, you see listings for saws, and it was the same guy, like one a week. Well, he was literally on my way to work. And it was weird because I don't normally buy saws from like pro level, super nice, you know, Sax Dolmars and stuff like that. I don't usually buy saws like that in a housing development, you know, in Winnipeg. You don't expect that, but he was really into saws. And after, you know, 3 weeks in a row on like a Tuesday, I'm stopping in at his house to buy a saw on the way to work. He was like, maybe I should just call you. I'll just call you. I'll grab the rest of them. So I bought many saws. This is one of them. And this saw, he blew this saw up milling. And it had a brand new top end and like completely run through. He never ran it again. So I bought this thing. You can see it's got no dogs on it. I wonder if this thing will start. I ported this years ago. It's a nice saw. It's strong. If you want to see this run in wood, my 66cc chainsaw shootout I did years ago, this was in it. This was mid-pack. In bigger wood, I think this would have been higher up, but it's a good saw. Let's see if it starts. This is a Sax Dolmar 120 Super. It is 68 cc, so basically a 70 cc saw. Let's see. You think this thing's gonna run? This thing's been sitting for probably a year and a half. Here, we'll put the fast idle on. Now I'm itching. We gotta get this thing running. This is a nice saw. It sounds good too. You guys don't mind if I fire up a power saw, do you? Something weird. Give me one of these or, you know, yeah. If you guys want me to play with this thing. I'm sad though, that fella sold me a basically brand new, excuse me, it was like a 1992 266 XP. Like one of the good ones with the good carb. That saw was a runner. And I mean, I'm not sad. I traded it to a good buddy who had always wanted one. Looks good. What do we got here? I just think we're not getting fuel. Again, Tillotson, HS carb, non-governed. But yeah, I sold that to my buddy, but it was like, let's have a look-see here. I'm just going to check to see if there's, if we're getting fuel. But yeah, that one got away, but I bought many nice saws off that guy. The coolest one I bought was the, interesting. Spark plug's super wet, but it, on the outside, but not, doesn't look like it's getting fuel in the cylinder. Okay, yeah, I see thumbs up. Okay. Today's mission is to get this saw to fire. These are known for ignition problems. Well, I guess let's have a look-see. These Sax Dolmars, all of them, they, oh, we got all kinds of white spark there. I'd like to pipe this saw. So yeah, anyways, I bought this saw off of him, and it was early on in my porting, and I ported this thing. I don't think I did this on the channel. And in fact, this is so early in my porting that I didn't write down what I did to the saw. In fact, I don't even know. I can't even remember what I did to this saw. The work probably looks horrible. It's probably not up to the Tin Man standard, but the saw runs good. Wow, can I get a spark plug back in? On the next episode of Tin Man Saws, can Tin Man's sausage fingers get a spark plug into a Sax Dolmar cylinder? There we go. What's the better saw, 371 or 372? Well, that depends on who you ask. They're both good. Honestly, there's a small age range where the 371 had like a single ring piston and a bunch of go fast gear. That is regarded as the nastiest of that chassis, but those also had problems with the crankcases, but they are kind of nuts. Other than that, they're pretty much the same saw. Okay, let's do this, because you know we're fancy here. Oh God. Oh no. That probably, I just put so much fuel in there that, okay, hold on. I gotta go outside, dump this out. Wow. Okay, hold on. Whew. That was, good times. Can you guys tell I just like to horse around? Okay, no choke. Let's see if this thing will fire now. I probably just flooded it real bad, but we can fix that. See, sometimes when they've been sleeping too long, you got to help wake them up. I have literally never done anything to this saw. And this is that's the first time I think that this saw hasn't started. Now, it usually takes 6, 8 pulls to wake up if it's been sitting, because I just don't run it very often. But I mean, there you have it. This is a great saw. It really is. I like them. They are a little heavier than a 266. Stock for stock, a 266 kind of, you know, little bit warmer of a saw. But I mean, with a long bar, this saw, it's got pull. It'll pull a long bar through hardwood. Okay, now that the air filter and cover's on, watch, I bet you this thing will idle slower now because there's some restriction in the airflow, which will make it a little bit, seems to make them a little bit richer. If that makes sense, it's pulling a little more on the carb and less from the atmosphere. Got to put the on switch on. I just got out of hand there. What were we talking about? I want to start something else now. What should we start? Oh, yes. My back's feeling good. Let's start the 2101 XP. Now, guys, if you've never started one of these saws, let me tell you, if you're going to pull on one of these, you pull it like you mean it, or trust me, your hand will be like, why'd you do that? Now, I think this thing's a leaker, meaning she's leaking gas and or oil. Let's see what's in here. Yeah. She's pretty much out of fuel because the caps leak. Well, that's fine. It's an old girl. She's done some logging. This thing's... Again, one of you guys sent this to me and it's just like, wow. Without you guys, this channel would not be what it is. No chance. I've been doing this 5 years. I have. Oh, we just hit 54,000 subscribers. Like 54,000 people. That's crazy stuff there. Thank you everybody. But like I always say, you guys make this channel what it is. Okay, if you're gonna start one of these, again, look at this. Mean it. Let's see if we get this thing to rock and roll. Let's take this chain cover off. I'm just in the mood. I know you guys like power saws, so we'll fire this one up and then we'll get back into some more comments. If you ever get a chance to run one of these things are nuts, especially with a long bar. This is going to be one of my next projects. I'd like to port this and pipe it and just make it stupid. Because again, we don't have a ton of big wood here, and it's like I would use this more if it was faster. If that makes sense. Yeah, we're leaking fuel out of the cap. Okay, ready? If this doesn't fire right away, I'll put fuel in the car. That's a good saw. This thing runs like a Swiss watch. Now, one thing about, that hurt, with the ring on the finger, these things, sometimes the dogs don't catch on the starter, and it'll do that. That's a man saw right there. These things are so heavy, so big, so powerful. They're incredible. I mean, if this kind of stuff doesn't get your heart pumping, I don't know what will. Anyhow, I'd like to do a test, that versus the 133 Dolmar. They are basically the same size saw. I'm just gonna grab this. I used to have that 999 Oleomac. That would have been a good one too to go against that. They're all 100cc saws. That 103cc kind of size range, and they're all just nasty, big, heavy. Put a 4-foot bar and let it eat. That's what those saws are for, and they are absolutely incredible. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit up in the comments. I'll go a little bit up in the comments. Okay, where are we at here? Leonardo Batista Roca. How's it going, buddy? He's been here a long time. Here we go. So we were talking about 371, 372. If you ask 10 loggers will give you 10 different answers probably. Some guys saw shop. 372 is better if running a long bar. The main difference is more strengthening runs in the case due to the 371's cracking when running longer bars. That is 100% the difference. But the early 371s had a lighter single ring piston and a little bit hotter timing numbers. There are some of those still left out there, and if you run one, you'll know the difference. But a good old school 372, like this one, this is just there's no tag on it. Okay, this is just an old school 372 stock, great running saw. I have a 371, that one that didn't really work out. That one ran good until it started doing its thing, but nothing wrong with a good 372. Okay. Where were we here? It's like this thing's always doing something, It's because I'm impatient and I start tapping. Talking about 881s. 881 is better as it's more powerful and newer, but I prefer 3120s. They seem to last better. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want to beat up on Stihl, because Stihl's made some excellent saws, but I have, I used to hang around the guy all the time that did nothing but mill lumber, okay? That was he got up in the morning, he would cut timber just so he could mill it, and like, if he got into a gnarly, funky, giant tree, he was like, this is going to make a beautiful table, okay? That kind of guy. He did all of his milling with a fleet of saws, okay? Because the whole idea is if you're dropping a tree in the bush, unless you can cut an access to it, you got to be able to get it out. So his thoughts were always, instead of having a sawmill, he would mill it on site and take it out piece by piece. And which was interesting to learn about milling, because I'd never really considered milling. I knew guys did it, but it wasn't something I was familiar with. And well, what did he mill with? A 394, a 395, a 298 Husqvarna. My 999 Oleomac that I built, that ended up with him. And he had two 880s that he got basically brand new. And for years, every time I would see him, how's your 880s? One scored again. And then he would put that one back together and the other one would be scored again. And it was just, I don't know why, but maybe it was just those two 880s, but they really weren't lasting on the mill. He said they got really hot, and Whereas 395s, 394s, and 2100 chassis saws would just chug through the wood. I hear the 881 is phenomenal, but again, being newer, it probably runs a little leaner, it probably runs a little hotter. With a good sharp chain, it's probably not a concern, but it each saw is different. It's like running a 572 and a 372. They both have power, but they make power totally different. A 372 is going to tolerate poor filing a lot more than a 572. If the 572 is sharp, it will outcut the 372, and so on and so forth. So I think this whole thing online about, which saw is better or not, well, that's totally subjective, because it's like everybody's perfect saw is their perfect saw. And that's why you guys will never see me online arguing, with other builders about porting technique or which truck's the best. I always laugh when I do a truck video. For months, I'll get comments like, Dodge is better. Why didn't you keep your Chevy? And I just I think that's funny, because it's like, if you like your truck, that's good. I don't know what you do with your truck. I don't know what you do with your saw. So it's like me, you know what I do with my truck? Farm work, hauling, towing. I take the garbage to the dump once a week. I tow my water trailer. I got to smash through snow. So I need a truck that will pull whatever I put behind it, 10,000 pounds and under. I need a truck that's tall so it gets through the snow. It has to start in the winter. And last week, we had a snowstorm. If I didn't have that F-250, I wouldn't have been able to get into the dump. There was a fella in front of me in a Dodge, stuck. And he got out. He wouldn't let me remove the tow strap. It was like, I got a tow strap and a D-ring, friendo. He was like, no, I got this. That kind of feller. I was like, okay, I'll just get back into my warm truck. But, it's one of those things. Sorry, friends, I'm flapping. Hello from Arkansas. How's it going? Where are we at? Oh, somebody asked what that Dolmar is. That is a 120 Super. So that is the 120 before the SI. The SI, I think, has a different carburetor. Don't quote me on that. I always hear the SIs are a little warmer. Some guys saw shop, 100cc, no decomp. Yeah, that's a 2101. And like I said, guys, I'm not horsing around, but if you ever start a saw like that, it could be an 880, it could be a 2100. 394s I find aren't super bad, 395s, but those 100cc and up saws, if you are going to pull those over, mean it, because you'll hurt yourself, whether it be your hand or your shoulder. You guys saw that. I'm wearing my wedding ring and it ripped that right out of my hand. Okay, I'm trying to catch up here. Can I trade you my 281 XP in a box for one of yours? No. No, I have one 281 right here. This one. A good friend of the channel gave it to me, and this thing's incredible. Like, look how mint this thing is. Full wrap, like no time on it. This cylinder still has the hone marks in it. Like, this thing's never been run. I've put more time on this than probably anybody, but oh, she's a beauty. And yeah, that's it for me. Like, I don't, I think I have a couple more 181s in a box, but that's about it. I don't have anything else that runs. Yeah, people are saying they prefer the 3120. I'm not a huge 3120 guy. Maybe the ones with the fully adjustable carburetor, but those things are so heavy. And I think because I run ported saws, like my 394 is a juggernaut. You guys have seen it on video, but it's like I can cut right along with my 394 with that 046 Stihl I built. And there's like 4 or 5 pounds weight difference and the same kind of power. So it's like, I'm not super into the big saws because I don't need them here. And let's be honest, those saws are for pulling like a 6 foot bar. I guess if you live somewhere with 6 foot trees, but I find those saws are, for me, they're more of a novelty. I don't run them much, but to each their own. Some guy saw shop. My buddy just had two 880 score while milling. Exhaust side. I'm curious because my buddy fought with those 880s. I don't even know if he has them anymore, but I almost bought one off of him. I was gonna port it, not to make it orangutan. I was gonna try and port it and drill holes in the piston to see if I could keep it from scoring, and then I would have ended up sending it back to him. I've milled a 70-foot live oak tree with my Husqvarna 372 and 394 or 395. There you go. Some guys mill with small saws. I've seen that lots. And his 881s are starting to give him some issues. I don't think I know anybody with an 881. I don't. I've never seen one here either. You can go into saw shops here and like Husky dealers, and they'll have 3120s on the floor, like discounted 3 times over, and nobody really buys them here. Just because there's not a ton of big timber here to be cut. I take it that there's hardly no cure for chainsaw addiction. I haven't found one yet. I I think building chainsaws is a great hobby because it's accessible for everyone. I mean, the most expensive chainsaw you can buy wouldn't even buy you a set of wheels for a pickup truck nowadays. Let's be honest. It's a cheap hobby and inexpensive, I'll say. But I mean, even some of the saws that have this saw. When I got this saw, I think I paid $200 for this saw, and that was a lot of money then, but it's like, and it was in a box. It wasn't running. But now I look at the price of an 044. Guys are asking $750, $1,000 for them. But really, that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme. You know what I mean? Like, I've had other hobbies. If you guys have ever modified Harley Davidsons, you could drop 20 grand on a build. I don't even know how you could spend 20 grand on a chainsaw. So. How about starting my Husqvarna 41? I don't have a 41, I don't think. I have a 44, 242 XP. I have two 550s that are blowing up. I don't have much in that 50cc size. I used to be a huge Stihl 026 man, but as time's gone on, for me, it's like 70cc is where the party starts, or 65cc. They're not heavy, and it's like I can't run short bars anymore. It was hard for me at first to switch, but now that I run a long bar, I can't. Like, for me, I don't want to stoop over or take a knee while I'm bucking. And to me, I can't strap a 32-inch bar to a 50cc saw. We should try that. 26 with a 32. I think I seen that once, and the saw was bogging. Like, somebody poured in an 026 and put a 32 on it, and it was like the saw was not happy, but that'd be kind of fun. Some guy's saw shop. My 046 will keep up or beat my uncle's 394, and it's way lighter. Yeah, and it's like, until the wood gets giant. In big wood, that's the thing. And I've said this to so many people. In big wood, there is no replacement for displacement. And here's why. A big saw has way more cooling surface, a way bigger flywheel. Big saws are meant to be under a higher duty cycle for longer. Those big cuts. And they'll do it all day. Where a small saw, if you're cutting 3-foot oak with an 044, you might do a cut and you let it cool down for a minute. Whereas if you're doing it with 394, it's just going to eat. But in small wood, generally in smaller wood, a smaller saw will win the cutoff when you're talking the big boy saws. Hey, the Okanagan Viking, how's it going, buddy? Motorcycles and cars get stupid expensive. Yeah, that's why I stopped doing Harleys. Well, main thing is, friends, I got responsible. I was a cowboy in my younger years. I drove around and partied and wheelied everywhere, and you know, just horsed around and went to bars, and you guys know the deal. And once I bought a house, I had to get responsible, and it was like, you know, and I think what really killed me riding around on Harleys is there's nothing but trouble to be found. You guys know the deal. Nothing but nothing but trouble to be found as a 20-something-year-old young man ripping around in a city on a Harley doing wheelies. Levi Collins, my gramps taught me how to fell trees with a Sax 120. Unfortunately, somebody stole it. One day I'll get one to put a smile on my face. Are those common where you live? Sax Dolmar 120s used to be super common here. And now, like, I haven't seen one for sale forever. 026 with a 24 is really fine. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I can't run a 50cc saw anymore. I just like I always say though, my opinion of power, what a saw needs, and most people is completely. I know I have a skewed opinion. Don't always take what I say to be true, friends. It's true for me, but once you're running, a fully piped, ported 75cc saw all the time, it's hard to go backwards. Okay, where else are we at? Yeah, I used to run an 038 Magnum with a 28, and it was fine. 038 Magnums are good saws. They run completely different than a 272, and a 272 Husky is the same bore stroke, but for whatever reason, something they did with that 038 Magnum, they just pull. Where a 272 is more of a. I was talking to a buddy today. It's a gentleman's saw. And what I mean by that, and I've heard this term used among loggers, a gentleman's saw. A gentleman he's got a sharp chain, and he doesn't force the saw through the wood. He's very smooth in his cuts. And 272 is really good, but an 038 just eats wood. Maybe I'll get another one day. I have two Husqvarna 242 XPGs. They're both not running. Do you think it's worth spending time on them? Greetings from Germany, and thank you for your awesome content, mate. Marcus. You know what, Marcus? I get asked that all the time, and it's like, if you could use the saw or you like it, who am I to say no, don't do that? I have a 242 XPG, and it's my around the yard saw. I prune trees with it, and it's great. It's got lots of power, and it's stupidly light. Like, how much does a 242 weigh? 9 pounds? So yeah, the only thing is, I'm not sure how many parts you can get for those anymore, because they that size of Husqvarna never really grew a following, and I find it's really hard to get parts for them. But yeah, why not? If you like a saw, fix it. Could be any saw. What bar and chain combo would you put on a Husqvarna 272 XP? I run generally on that chassis saw. I run a 28 with a full house. Either a Husqvarna, that X-Lite bar I really like, or Stihl, one of these Stihls here. One of these, the ES Lite. This is my favorite bar. 100%, this is the best bar on the market to me. They are expensive though, but like anything else, you get what you pay for. That bar is so light and so precise. If you guys have ever cut with a Canon bar, and I think Canon is probably the best bar on the market, but they're very, very expensive now. But if you've ever cut with a Canon bar, they are so precise. That rail is, and you can feel it in the cut. But I think these aren't far off. They're cheaper. They're lighter. That's the lightest bar on the market that I've tested, and I think I've had most of the lightweight bars here. But yeah, I would put an ES light on that. That'll save your bar mounts quite a bit and let it eat. Hey, Marty Rudder, how's it going, buddy? Hope I bump into you again soon. Before we know it, it'll be fall again, and maybe we'll be back in Ohio. I really liked Ohio. There's so many. Looks like there's so many places to explore there. I really enjoyed my time in Ohio. Hey Marty, maybe I'll bring the F-250 there. Maybe I'll drive this year. Let you drive my truck. That'd be a great video. Marty Rudder, the Tin Man, back roaded in an F-250. That'd be fun. I know Marty can drive a stick, so I'd be shocked if he couldn't. Still working, Husky Ninja. My 395 has a duct pipe going from the flywheel up to the airbox area. Anyone know what that is? That is the air injection system. There's a little where is it? I don't know if I have a saw part. That is Husqvarna's patented air injection. That's why their air filters don't clog. Most Huskies have that, the newer ones. And I consider newer Huskies like late 90s and up, but that's why Husqvarna's, you can run them and run them and run them and never clean the air filter. It's because they all have that duct in there. It's actually, whoever thought of that was a genius, because that is one of the simplest designs, but yet it just works. And all it does is keep the, it keeps the particles go on the outside, and that grabs the air right off the fan on the inside. And, just, it's a great system. That's one of the reasons why I prefer Huskies, is I don't ever have to clean the air filter. But I like Stihls. The Stihls I have, I'd never get rid of. In fact, friends, I want another 461. That was a great saw. Just an absolute pleasure running. Very strong. And I definitely, maybe this year I'll see if I can add a blown up 461 to my fleet. Okay, what do we got here? I got a Husky 268 XPG recently. Is there a difference between 268 and 266? Yes, and I have a video on that. If you go in my 200 series playlist, you'll find one. Off the top of my head, 266 and 268 are the same saw, except for the 268 has bigger transfers, a little bit different timing numbers. It has a larger carburetor, different coil. What else is different? You could tell the part number if you look at the side of a 266, 268, 272 cylinder. It'll be a 50ZN number, and it goes from 50ZN11 is a early 266, 50ZN13 is a late 266, and 50ZN I think 14 is a 268. But there are differences. I've definitely done videos on them. 268s just have a little more air going through them. But it's funny, I have never found a 268 runs better than a 266, and that's because the 268 has a gummed up exhaust pipe on it. The exhaust is also taller on a 268, so the top cover, a 266 top cover will not fit on a 268. Also, the holes for the top covers are different. Different clutch. Splines for the clutch are different. I think that's it. Okay, I'll stop flapping. That's what I know. Andy Price, have you compared the Stihl ES Lite to the newer Sumara Premium Lite? No, I haven't. But again, I know what I know, and I haven't. That's one bar I haven't had. That reminds me, I was gonna order one. Yeah, I'll order one of those and try it out. If it's lighter, I'll probably like it more, as long as it's stiff. Those ES lights, I don't find them to be too floppy. I don't like a bar that does a lot of this. Some guys don't care, but I'm kind of a ham fist. But yeah, I'll do a test on that if I can get my hands on one. Sumara Premium Light. I remember I was looking at those at Paul Bunyan. Some guy's saw shop. I still call it Turbo from the old J-Reds. Not a lot of J-Reds left in these parts. I think I own most of them. Got quite a few on the shelf, but it's a shame. I was a huge John Surred fan. Still working. I've heard of air injection before, but I thought it was an older Husky thing. Husqvarna had a patent on that for like 25 years, starting in the late 90s, I believe, and all the way up. So I don't know what the deal is now. I don't know if the new Stihls keep their air filters cleaner, but I suspect they should, because I think that patent's ended a while ago. But yeah, that's one thing. A Husky, I can cut all day, every day, and rarely ever have to clean my air filter. I mean, I still do, but this 044, if I cut for a day, you know, maybe a couple tanks, when I pull this air filter out, it'll be completely caked in sawdust. It's just a thing. And again, if you're a Husky guy or a Stihl guy, it doesn't matter to me. There are things I like on Stihl. Stihl's heated handles I like better. They're warmer. You know, there are certain things. There are certain things. If Stihl and Husky would make a saw together, I guess they'd call that a Dolmar. Shout out to the Dolmar people out there. I love me a Dolmar. Dolmar makes great saws. I'm glad I have a few. Tim G, I get it. It sure is less fun running a 50cc soft or running something with twice the power for a day. You see the small saw and just shake your head at it. Yeah, and it's like, you know, I tell people, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. And I find that funny about the internet is I see comments all the time, my channel and others, and it's people will just say, "Wow, that's, you know." They'll argue about something, and it's like, if you like a 50cc saw, I get it. They're light, they're easy to use. Also, let's remember, the a 50cc saw will kill you just as fast as ported 75cc saw, but the rules are the same with both saws. But if you're an entry level cutter, there is way less forgiveness with a ported, you know, 10 horsepower fire breathing 75cc saw. But that's the thing. I run my 7.3 Power Stroke. That thing tows, like, you put weight behind it and get up to speed, and it will pull it all day, every day. It's slow getting there, but for me, it's such an uptick in what I've towed with. Now, I towed with that 6.5 turbo diesel. The 6.5 didn't like to hold RPM in the wind. It wouldn't just chug down the highway, but it did it too. I've towed with my Toyota Tundra. The Toyota Tundra was a beast, but it drank fuel like it was free when you're towing. I've towed with a 5.3 GM. You know, so my buddies have 6.7 Power Strokes. Well, that thing has, you know, 300 horsepower more and 500 foot-pounds of torque more, or whatever they're at now. My 7.3 Power Stroke would feel like a toy to them, but it's all I know, right? I've never towed with a 6.7. If I towed with a 6.7, I'd probably be like, I want one of these. Right until the point I see the price and the fact I can't work on it. But it's all what you're used to. And when I had a ported 026, I thought there was nothing stronger than that till I got my 038 Magnum, and, you know, that's the progression, right? The more you know, and the more power you have, the more power you want, to a point, right? Did I get any farther on my sled? Oh, I'm not getting a sled. I have a sled here. It's in my yard. Outside, about 400 feet that way on a trailer. I've had a snowmobile sitting there. But no. One day perhaps I'll pull it in the shop, maybe even this winter. But One thing that I lack at this point in my life, and part of it is self-imposed, but you know, I don't have a ton of free time to just horse around. I'll get there though. I have a toddler, right? This is a busy time to be a father, but it's an incredible time, and I'm going to spend as much time around my daughter as I can. I don't want a floppy bar. I guess the Stihl ES has found the limit on strength and weight. Yeah, I mean, they do move a little more than a standard bar, but I don't find it to be floppy. Sometimes you get some of the light bars I find, especially if you're cutting really knotty wood, it'll hit a knot and the bar will kind of wobble, which it's not very precise in the cut. Also, you stick your saw in the kerf, you know, you're looking up or whatever, and you have your saw in the kerf, and like it's bent. It doesn't mean anything. And I bet you a bendy bar won't bend permanently like a stiff bar will. You bend a stiff bar, and usually it's good for the garbage. But I like the ES bar a lot. It's very precise. It's got good paint on it, and it's a nice bar. They are expensive though. Things that are really good in this world often cost money, right? And I mean, I don't even know what those bars cost now here. That's probably a $300 bar. But for a guy like me, I'll never wear that bar out. I'll be using that bar for 20, 25 years probably. Like my buddy that I used to cut with, he had Canon bars. He had this old Canon. It was a 24-inch Canon. I think it was like a Super Mini, one of their milled bars. And it looked awful. The only way you knew it was a Canon is it was stamped Canon on the tail of the bar. And when I cut with that bar, it was like brand new. The rails were tight. And I asked him, like, how long have you had the bar? And he thought about it. And he's like, I've had this bar for 26 years. It's probably worth the $100 he paid for it back then, which was probably crazy. MOF, I got 4 times 044. They run all perfect. Strong saw, never lets me down. I don't know if you guys want to see this week, but this was that saw. Started idled, pulled chain, and then one day it started acting funny, and I just have never figured out what's wrong with it. And it passes a vacuum pressure test. So I have a feeling either my fuel line is starting to give up on me. My impulse line, I put a new carburetor on it. But I'll play with that saw this week. It has a miss. In fact, I don't know, you guys might be able to hear it. I'll fire this one up too, because, you know, we're sitting here. This thing's original. All I've done is put crank seals in it. This is an original 044, not ported, stock. And yes, it has lots of compression. Well, I'm surprised this thing won't start, actually. It starts, it just doesn't like to idle. Okay, I don't even know what to say. I just ran this thing this morning, and it was coughing and farting and popping out of the muffler. It had a miss. It ran horribly, and now I don't even know what to say. It runs good. So whatever I fiddled with today, I pulled the fuel line out of the tank and just kind of wiggled it around. I wonder if this fuel line's no good, because now that's the best this saw's run in like 2 years. I put a carb on it in the last video. I worked on this like a few months ago, and it ran good, and then it ran horrible, and then I put a new carb on it, and it ran even worse with the new carb, and I was like, this makes no sense. And I want this saw back in action. If I can't figure it out, then I'm going to tear it down and rebuild it. But this is probably, I have more cutting memories with this saw than any other saw I own. This was my only, I had an 026 and this for quite a while. And then I added my 266. So it was this and my 266, you know, two legendary saws. And this is what put firewood on my truck for years. And I absolutely love this saw. And it's heated. And this thing absolutely belts the heat out, which is perfect because we do a lot of winter cutting here. But then it stopped running good about a year and a half ago. I was doing a video and this saw started running rich, way too rich. And I couldn't lean it out. So I thought, oh, there's something wrong with this thing. I rebuilt the carb, threw it back together. It didn't run any different. I put a new spark plug in it. It didn't run any different, and so on and so forth. And I'd play with it here and there. I put new crank seals in it because a buddy of mine was telling me he had one of these with a crank seal issue and it was doing that. That didn't do anything. So then one of you guys sent me a new carburetor thinking it was a bad carburetor. I put a new carb in this thing and it ran better, but not different. Like it didn't run good. It was popping and farting and something's up here, little friends. This is gonna bother me. Let's fire this thing back up again. I don't even know what to say. I'll choke it again because it's probably not warm enough. I'm gonna get this thing warm now. Let's just see what this does as it warms up. Maybe we can learn something. Maybe it'll run worse when it's warm. So this saw is advanced. The timing on it, I've always noticed that. See how I didn't give it a good yank there? This saw will kick back and pull the starter out of your hands, and it's a stock saw. There's nothing done to the keyway. This is like an early 12 millimeter wrist pin saw right after they went from the 10 mil. I think it's like a 92, something like that. Okay. That's what it's doing. Well, then, while we're standing here, because we're all friends, right? And maybe one of you guys know what's wrong with this. I only know what I know, right? I don't know everything. I don't even know half of everything. But between all of us, I always figure this. Between all of us, we probably know everything. If there's enough of us on here that play with saws. Here, I got a brand new NGK. And I know somebody will probably be like, oh, those are bad plugs, but I don't know. I like these. Let's put one of these in here. Let's just see if it does anything different. Let's try a different spark plug. It's BPMR7A if anybody wants to know. What do we got here? I really want this saw to run because it's a good, strong, lightweight saw. It's cool. And the heated handles on this are incredible. I mean, I have other heated handle saws, but this one's always been about the best. Where's our carb settings at, too? In case any of you guys want to know. You Stihl guys out there. Okay. Half. 1. 1.25 on the low jet. Half. 1. Where's our high jet at? 1. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's go 1 full turn on the high jet. And let's go 1 full turn on the low jet and just kind of see where this thing's at. It's rich though, like stupidly rich. You guys can hear that. It runs fine for a minute, and then it feels like it has a limited carb. You know, like a Tillotson with the limiter on it. And this is a brand new carb, and the last carb ran the same way. Okay. Interesting. Let's give her a little less high jet and see if she goes lean. Okay, I turned the high jet in about 1/4 turn. Interesting. Okay, so it's leaned out a bit. That cylinder's nice and hot now. Again, if you're gonna rev, if you're new at this, let your saw warm up. Notice how I warmed the saw up before I started getting on it. If you've ever cold seized the saw, I never have, but I've seen other guys do it. It's not fun. Cold seize is when you'll heat up that piston quicker than the cylinder. Remember, the cylinder and the piston both swell. And if you heat up that piston quicker than the cylinder, guess what? Pop goes the weasel. Well, the carburetor bolt's loose. That's probably not a good thing. Look, friends, this nut's loose. Now, I don't think that's going to change anything, but we can't leave her like that. Let's cinch down this carburetor. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we got a problem. The more I know, the less I know, right? Why is this carburetor loose? It's kind of weird. Also notice my tank vent is... This could be a tank vent issue. It really could. We'll run it again. If it's still rich, I'm going to crack the fuel cap, and if it runs better, we know we got a tank vent issue. Oh yeah, this carb's super loose. Who put this on here? Some guy named the Tin Man. Maybe that. Hey, if that's all it is, I'll be blue in the face, but I get my saw back. So you guys that have been around here know the truth is the truth, and if the truth is the carb's loose. Now, I don't think that's what's wrong. Now, it runs better with that spark plug. Maybe I just had a bad spark plug. Pretty sure I've already put a couple of spark plugs in this, though. But same plug that's in the 046. At least I didn't lose the nut down the Venturi. Yeah, and even if I did, it would be funny. Maybe not on this saw, though. This is a saw that I love. Happens, though. That's why before I mail a saw, I go over it many times. I run it. And I run it good. Like, I don't just... Because you never know. If you're going to find a problem, I'd rather find it on my bench than the guy that's getting the saw finds it on his. But then again, I only build saws for nice fellers. Like Sagebrush Hillbilly, he has one of my saws. Okay, let's fire this thing back up again. Let's see what it does. If not, we'll leave this for a video this week. You know why I don't run Stihls? That right there. These flippy caps, I just... Don't mind me, friends. I said phooey, though. I didn't curse. I've never cursed on this channel. I just don't get along with these flippy caps. I don't know why. There we go. Okay. Let's get a rag. That was a good catch. Phooey. I don't think I've ever said phooey in my life, but I said it here. I'm learning to not curse, friends. Now, you guys might find it funny. I don't curse on the channel, but I do curse. But now that I have a daughter, I gotta be careful. I can't, you know what I mean? It won't reflect poorly on her if she's got a foul mouth. It'll make me look like a horrible parent. And not just look like a horrible parent, but be a horrible parent. And that's not something I have. Okay, so I cracked the cap and I thought I'd put it back on. Let's fire this thing back up. I hope you guys are laughing at me. I hate those flippy caps. Yeah, me too. It's not a thing. Seems like a complicated way to make something simple very complicated. Friends, I'm not going to play with this anymore. Did you hear that? It was lean for a second, and then it got really, really rich. So, for that reason, I'm out. I don't want to pop the saw. Sometimes you're better. Now, I don't want to put my boots in. Hold on, friends. I'm just going to I got this old piece of cardboard that I leave underneath saws that are sitting on the floor. Not because I don't let saws sit on concrete, because I do. I remember some guy years ago, he came on the channel and he saw that I had a saw on the concrete. He's like, you can't leave a saw on the concrete. I was like, why? Well, it's going to rot it. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess if you let it sit there. But yeah, when I'm done cutting, I'll put saws on the ground here. Don't bother me none. Is the gas on the outside of the boot loose at the carb? I don't know. We'll do a video on this. You guys that are here on the live stream, come back this week. I'll do a video on it after work one day. I'll fire up the wood stove and I'll come and hang out in here with you guys and do a little video. There's a reason I like my O series Stihls. Yeah, they're okay. I like my Husqvarnas. I just do. I don't know. Like, friends, this thing here, this saw here, like, this 365 special ported, like, I built this saw. I literally built this saw, I don't even know, 8 years ago. I ported it 5 years ago on the channel. If you guys haven't seen that, it's funny. When I first became a power saw porter online. I was porting before that, but this saw, I've cut more timber with this saw than any saw I've ever owned. Probably won't start now. This is a no compression build, runs just fine. Hasn't been run forever. What it is, I'm just in a starting. I wonder if this turd starts. This 371 that's giving me headaches forever. Oh, that's not going to work because we should be missing a recoil screw. Well, that's probably not a good thing. Nope. I took a screw out of there. I can't do it. I'm just in a power saw starting mood. I'm starting to feel it. I got a rotator cuff issue. You'd never know it. It's the way I mistreat my shoulders, but I have power saw-itis. I see a power saw, I see the recoil, I'm like, start tickling it, and then I'm like, I wonder how you start. And then you guys know the deal. You're touching the recoil, next thing you know, you start firing it up. Okay. What else do we got here? I'm going to shut her down soon. Levi Collins, I think he likes 45 to 1. Yeah, 45 to 1. Opti 2. I have no affiliation with Opti 2. Although, if they want to reach out, I am the Opti 2 guy. I'm just kidding. Buy your Opti 2 friends at Tin Man Sauce. Follow the link. No, I'm just kidding. No, again, older fella I used to cut with. He was a power saw mechanic for years. That's what they used to sell at the Husqvarna dealers. He got me onto it, and that's good oil. Like, and I'm sure there's other oils that are every bit as good. That's just what I run. It's available locally. It is not cheap. That oil is expensive, but I like it. I put my saws on cardboard because my saws all weep a bit of oil. And it's a brand new floor. Yeah, this floor is from like 1964. When I do the new floor in the shop, I might have to rethink stuff. But honestly, I'm going to park my skid steer in there, and she marks her territory. She's a Harley Davidson skid steer. And, you know, hey, Buckin, Billy Ray Smith, we've been running power saws today. Just having a blast. Buckin's going live in about 12 minutes, so I reckon I'm going to jump over there. What do you think about AMSOIL? No idea. Never run it. That is the only oil I've been running for like the last decade. I won't switch. I know the oils I don't like. But yeah, I've never tried AMSOIL or what's that other stuff? Echo Red Armor, I hear is good. Again, no idea. Never used it. I don't see a reason to, because this stuff, this Opti 2 I run, is incredible. Anyhow, thank you, Buckin. You're a good feller. Thank you for the super chat. What else we got? Eric L. Both of my shoulders are shot from years of playing softball and most recently pulling on chainsaws. It hurts. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Tin basher, lifetime sheet metal worker, doing overhead work for 20 years. My shoulders were perfect. I had shoulder pain. Like, I used to have trouble sleeping. I can only sleep on my back. I can't sleep on my sides but I never had like, major shoulder issues, nothing that would stop me from working. And then one day I popped my left shoulder like 2 years ago, and it's just never, it's there. It heals and then it breaks again and it heals, but whatever, it could be much worse. Pick one and go. Yes, power saws. Buckin and Tin Man, the two greatest of all times on YouTube. No one I'd rather watch than you two fine gents. Thank you. You know what? The YouTube thing, when Buckin first reached out to me to build him a saw, I was like, I hope this guy is exactly how he is on video. I hope he's not different, and he's not. He is exactly the same fella. He is real, and that's what I like. I like the truth. I like reality, and we became friends over the last I don't even know how many years ago that was, but yeah, I just try and be me on YouTube, and this is the easiest thing to do, is just be you. And I'm just a fellow that likes wrenching on stuff. Gotcha. I run AMSOIL in my race bikes, but never tried it in saws. Try it. I'm sure it'll be fine. If it's good in your bikes get hot. Honestly, most of the oils they have are good now. The only oils I don't like, and I won't tell you guys the brand, but it might be, and it makes a lot of carbon. I don't like carbon. Is really bad for saws. And I hope you guys caught that. I use Echo in my CS590. Yeah, I hear that Echo oil is really good. If it leaks oil, it means it's got oil. Yeah, it's true. My skid steer is not bad. Once in a while, I get an ice buildup around the wheels right at the hub assembly, and it's like the ice pushes on the seal, and it'll leak a little bit of oil out of the chain case on one wheel. But whatever. A thing's a 97. It's a 97. It has 2,600 hours. I put like 400 of those on, and I mean, it's just, it is what it is, right? Check the chain cases once in a while. I'm not going to fix it though. Because when I first got that, it had been sitting for like a year and a half at the dealership, and they just kind of used it around the yard. When I first got it, the drive motors used to leak, and the hoses, and I took the belly pans off one time, scraped them out, and pressure washed the whole underneath of that thing. And there's really not a ton of oil in there anymore. And I think the reason why is I warm it up. I warm that thing up for 20 or 30 minutes before I run it every time. In fact, I'm going to shut her down here very soon, and I'll go fire up the skid steer because I got to clean the driveway. But yeah, I let my equipment run. My Power Stroke, same thing. That thing will idle for 10, 15 minutes before it turns a wheel. I think it's just better for it. I know the exact oil, and I've seen that oil blow up a ton of saws. Don't know what you're talking about. Which oil do you mean? I had no idea that certain oils were so dirty till I started wrenching on saws all the time. Like, I had a buddy that was like, I've been using that oil for years and years and never had a problem. And I pulled out a box full of cylinders that failed due to carbon buildup, and I marked what oil they were, and he switched. He definitely switched. More Dolmar and Pioneer content, please. I'd try, but Pioneer stuff's getting so hard to find. Dolmar, yeah, I like my Dolmar. Definitely gonna run that 7300 more. Chad Henwood's chainsaws, woodworking, and boat racing. That sounds like a fellow with an interesting life that doesn't sit around waiting for life to happen. Boat racing? Nothing scares me more than going fast on the water. I don't like that. I'm a land-based creature, but I ain't scared to go fast. When the Japanese were having the motorcycle wars, which had the fastest bike, I mean the Busa, those things are fast. But yeah, going fast on the water scares me. Anyhow, just flapping. The people who idle saws too much develop lots of carbon. Yeah, and that's one thing I will say. Homeowner saws tend to be the worst for carbon because they're never adjusted right and they're run in very short intervals. I think I'm not a battery vehicle guy or any of that stuff. I can't wrap my head around it living here because it's too cold. But honestly, for the average person that uses their saw once a year to trim a few trees, I think there is some merit to those battery saws. Because those are the people generally that have a carbon cake saw that won't start. 100 mile an hour on a boat is scary. Yeah. 100 mile an hour on a motorcycle, you ain't like, it's 1,000 in my day. I don't know how they are now. I haven't been on a leader bike in years, but 1,000 cc. That's what we call them here in Canada, by the way. They're leader bikes because 1,000 milliliters is a liter. Food for thought. Leader bikes, you were pulling out of first gear at 100 mile an hour. That was first gear. 160 kilometers an hour or 100 mile an hour. But boats, no sir, no sir. Model powerboat racing. I got you. I used to do RC cars back in the day. That was fun. Got a buddy that builds and flies model airplanes. That's pretty cool, actually. I love leader bikes. Yeah. ZX10R, when that thing came out in like 04. Scary. Fun, though. Flippy caps. Yeah. Thank you for all the knowledge you share in your videos. It is appreciated. I buck firewood for a living and love your videos. Have helped me a lot. Right on. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out here. And that's what this is all about. Got to ride a new H2R Cowie. First was like 120. Well, there you go. That's even more. I would ride that. If somebody threw me the keys to one of those, I'll take it for a rip. Got up to 180 mile per hour. My buddy's modded Gixxer Thou and still had more. Yeah, most, I can't remember what it was. Most bikes were limited to 192 miles an hour. Unless you, I can't remember what it was. You could buy a chip for the Busa to demod it, and it would go faster. Those are fun. Yeah, supercharged. I can't remember what I rode. I rode a turbo Yami 1000cc R1. It was turbo with NOS. I never got to try it with the NOS, but it was like a 250 horsepower R1. It was pretty stupid. Basically, the more you did this, that equated to where the front tire was off the ground. You know, it was, I don't know if I was young then. I don't know if I have the response time to ride something like that anymore. Chad Headwood's Chainsaws Woodwork at Boat Racing. Thank you, buddy, for the super chat. Love what you do. Bro, keep it up. Hey, thanks for coming here. Everybody that hangs out here, thank you. Seriously, I appreciate all you guys. We've been doing this for like 5 years now. 5 years ago, I never thought that this is, you know, it was just something I was doing. You guys built this channel up to be what it is. We just hit 54,000 subscribers. And, you know, I couldn't do this without you guys. So I want to just say thank you. There's so many of you guys that are on every channel making comments, thumbs up, thumbs down. And I appreciate all of you. Some of you I've met in real life, but a lot of you guys, you support me. I feel like I know you guys, and you know, we've never met. So thank you, everybody. What happened to my 572? Stay tuned. I did a 572 video today. You guys will be seeing it this week. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and we're going to shut this down. I'll probably go jump into Buchan's live stream, which always starts at 3 my time. But anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and thanks for hanging out here, guys. I really appreciate it. Later.